Dehydrated vegetables are another specialized process that might be something that you see in a food establishment. Now, dehydrated vegetables are a little bit different, and part of this is that depending on what recipe is being used, the dehydration might occur at a really low temperature, so something like 135, but keep in mind that even if whatever is being dehydrated, if it were, say, berries or something like that, that even though that is considered a non-TCS food when it's cut, if the temperature for dehydration is 135 or above, or depending on local decision, that could be considered a heat-treated plant food, making it TCS, being held at a temperature for a long period of time, and would need a HACCP plan and a variance for a specialized process. We'll talk more about that in class, but for here, I'm going to demonstrate making dehydrated kale. And so the first step here is to blanch the kale, and the blanching will be for 4 minutes, and then it will need 4 minutes in an ice water bath. And this blanching is for a couple reasons. One, it's going to increase the quality, so you're going to better retain the color, and this will inactivate the enzymes that would cause browning. But the other reason why we want to blanch the kale is that helps control for any pathogens that might be on the surface of the leafy green. And so we've seen outbreaks with E. coli and salmonella on leafy greens. By blanching it in boiling water, we'll get rid of anything that's on the surface of that vegetable, and those types of pathogens that I just mentioned could persist even in a dehydrated product. So we want to get rid of them before we dehydrate so we truly have a non-TCS food. And so first we're going to add a couple of these pieces of kale, and they're just broken into smaller pieces, to the boiling water. And you can see immediately as you're starting to heat these how it changes to that bright green. So we're going to blanch here for 4 minutes. And once your kale is blanched, you're going to want to drain it with a slotted spoon and then stick it in ice water. And this stops that heat so you don't continue to cook the kale. And so 4 minutes in the boiling water, 4 minutes in the ice water. So then just like with the beef, you're going to want to blot off the extra water. So taking it out of the ice water, and then might need to kind of open the leaves up a little bit so they can drain. And again, this is just because you don't want to be putting a dripping wet product into the dehydrator, because that's just going to make the process take even longer for dehydration. So just blotting these dry. And then once those are blotted pretty much dry, you can lay them out on the dehydrator, making sure that there isn't too much overlap on those leaves. Oh, that one needs to be blotted a little bit more. Partly making sure there isn't overlap so you don't have too much excess water. And the other part there to make sure it dehydrates properly. I'll do one more piece. And so these go and are dehydrated at 140 for at least 6 hours. And the final product, as you can see down here, you should end up with something that's really brittle and really crisp. So it should crumble and break apart pretty easily, just kind of like fall leaves.